If there is one thing that is peculiar to the African economy, it is the name Dangote. Over the years, specifically in the last 10 years, the business world has seen the rise and extreme flourishes of a company that many would have never expected to skyrocket. Turns out Dangote, the company now, had a lot more than Nigeria. The vision of the company was bigger than the African continent, and it continues to show the world not only the extent of its vision but also how far it is willing to take it. But just before we go deep into what the multi-million-dollar company is about, let's take it back to the beginning. Let's kick off this ride by checking out the brain behind the start of Dangote. The one to take Africa by storm. If there is one thing that the life of Aliko Dangote has taught the onlookers, it is the fact that success in the business world has little to do with race, nationality, or religion. They might be an added advantage, no doubt, but it boils down to the individual and how much the individual is willing to trade to be successful. So, who is Aliko Dangote and how did he begin his multi-million-dollar company? First, we'll love to note that of the many times that Aliko Dangote has been asked how he got into the business, his words have always been of a time when he was just a little school kid. About his childhood, Dangote once said, "I can remember when I was in primary school, I would go and buy cartons of sweet sugar boxes and I would start selling them just to make money. I was so interested in business even at that time." This shows the birth of the piqued interest in the business. But who exactly is he? Aliko Dangote was born on April 10th in the year 1957 in the northern part of the country of his birth, Kano, Nigeria. As an edge, Dangote, being the most casual way people tend to refer to him, grew up in an entrepreneurial family. This is so in the sense that his grandfather, who became his legal guardian after the death of Dangote's father in 1965, has a history of involvement in not just politics but also business. It is said that Dangote's grandfather made the bulk of his wealth from the sales of various household items, with oats and rice as the most prevalent. It goes without saying that the business magnate was born into a wealthy house, a Muslim family. His mother, Maria Sanusi Dantata, was the daughter of businessman Sanusi Dantata. Aliko Dangote's father, Muhammad Dangote, was a business associate of Sanusi Dantata. And through his mother, Dangote is the great-grandson of Al-Hassan Dantata, the richest West African at the time of his death in 1955. What does this all mean? Was it really all about the privileged few? Did the success of his business come as a result of his family's social standing? The start of what would become a global enterprise? To be fair to history, perhaps the start of Dangote's company predates the rise of the subsidiary companies and the expansion that came years after. Perhaps, like the story of the schoolboy who bought and sold sweets to his fellow schoolmates, making money for himself based on what he had seen his father and grandfather do. After graduating from the school he sold sweets, Aliko Dangote proceeded to enroll in one of the most prestigious Islamic universities at that time in Egypt, Al-Azhar University. In 1970, he graduated from the Egyptian University with a bachelor's degree in business administration and thought to go back to his early days as a retail trader. But this time, he chose to go bigger. The actual start of what we would call a chain of events that led to the public acknowledgement of Dangote and his business ideals came from a loan of $3,000 he borrowed from his uncle. To what end? Aliko Dangote proceeded to begin the retail sale of household items as his family was once known to do in the city of Kano. The items he sold in his native area were rice from Thailand and sugar from Brazil. It is reported that in a very short period, the retail business was welcomed by the greater populace, and on its best days, the business made a net profit of $10,000, which explains how he was able to refund the startup loan he received from his uncle. The business was great, but it was not enough. After nothing less than 2 decades had passed with Dangote learning the ropes of retail trading through the greater part of Kano, his birth city, he realized how costly it was to purchase these products from wholesalers who themselves purchased from the manufacturers of the products. He took the challenge to show an aggressive business side that the world was yet to see. Aliko Dangote thought to build a plant that would manufacture the products he'd purchased for years from other countries. Not just rice and sugar. The company born from the doggedness and determination of Aliko Dangote would see the initiation of the production of pasta, salt, and flour in the state. The fun times and growth of Dangote Group. The most common practice of Nigerian investors in recent times has been to start their industries using oil or oil-related products, seeing as the country has one of the largest deposits of oil in Africa. However, Dangote had a different mindset. He chose to begin from a different area and avoided oil industries for a long time until recently. The reason behind this was established in Dangote's interview with Al Jazeera, where he said that following the trend of dealing with oil would have spoiled the brand name and people would have thought they made so much money as a result of all the unethical dealings in the oil industry. Dangote Group of companies did enter the oil market and still flourishes in producing up to 500,000 barrels of oil in a day, but this wasn't the first big business. With over 30,000 human persons employed under the conglomerate Dangote Group, the verified list of products includes cement, sugar, salt, flour, steel, oil, and gas, as well as packaging. The company, as well as all of its subsidiaries as of the 2017 fiscal year, was said to have a return of $4.1 billion. The first big leap of Dangote to developing the company was by constructing a multi-million-dollar manufacturing plant, which was constructed with $319 million of Dangote's personal funds, in addition to a $479 million loan from the World Bank International Finance Corporation. With this, Dangote began to separate his manufacturing units into different publicly traded companies. Let's talk about Dangote Cement. The largest cement producer in Africa, Dangote Cement, has subsidiaries in Benin, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Zambia. Its market capitalization on the Nigeria Stock Exchange is close to $14 billion. The organization and the Zambian government secured a contract in December 2010 to build a $400 million cement facility there. It is situated in Dola and was finished in 2015. The new plant is expected to have an annual output of 1.5 million metric tons of cement. It produces 42.5 grade cement to compete against the inferior but dominant 32.5 products on the market. Dangote Sugar Refinery got listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 2007. By the year 2010, sales had quadrupled to $450 million, making Forbes share a report declaring the subsidiary as the largest sugar refinery in Africa, according to some estimates the second largest in the world. It goes without saying that the Dangote Group constitutes a larger percentage of the stock exchange market of not just Nigeria, but also Africa at large. This is to the end of placing Africa at a global standpoint of growth, economically, to be precise. A tale of days. Dangote came under dark spotlights. In truth, the Dangote Group is not without its backlash from the public. And this is in two folds. We could talk about the scandalous news reports on Aliko Dangote, the founder and CEO, or we could talk about the company name itself. On the former, the coast had been clear for a long while till a recent report came to the open of Aliko Dangote's unethical dealings with his ex-girlfriend, Autumn Spikes. On the latter, there is a list of cases levied under the Dangote name. The most outstanding is that of the rivalry and butte competition between Dangote Group and BUA Group, a not so intimidating but emerging competition for Dangote Group. The first of these bitter exchanges in words and actions began in 2017 with land disputes. But even before 2017, BUA Group had written an open letter to the Nigerian government 2 years prior, criticizing the government for providing favorable foreign exchange to Dangote Group for its condo business, and thereby aiding anti-competitive practices. Aside from all of this, we could talk about the backlash of the unethical and unjustified retrenchment of over 3,000 staff of the Dangote Cement subsidiary. In recent times, this has called into question the supposed philanthropist principle that the CEO prides himself about. Aliko Dangote was named the richest man in Africa in 2021 with an estimated net worth of $12.1 billion empire he began to build more than 3 decades ago, and Go They Grow is one of the largest private sector employers in Nigeria as well as one of the most valuable conglomerates in West Africa. Not only has the company withstood the stand of time and perseverance under the leadership of its CEO, but it has also shown to the world that greatness has little to do with race, nationality, tribe, or religion.